Good morning, and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. It is April 2nd, 2024. This is episode 125. This is part of the Vegas travel series. I am in Las Vegas, Nevada. I traveled up here really on a whim. A stand-up comedian friend of mine who has come up a lot in my story, Andrew Norelli, who's an incredibly talented and funny and successful stand-up comedian, just said, "Hey, Paul, I'm going to be in Vegas for a few days. Why don't you come hang out and we'll network and hang out, see what happens?" And I said, sure. So I have been here, and last night was... a lot went on last night. Where do I even begin? So, the first thing that had happened so my buddy Andrew let me know that there was an open mic going on that he and another comic friend were going to be attending, and just said, "Hey, why don't you come check out this open mic?" So I said, sure. So I show up at this venue, and it was just so odd. It's kind of hard to explain. There was just a lot of things going on. It was the venue, first of all, was this weird sort of freestanding building that was kind of in a weird shape, and there was a little bit of parking in the front and then even more parking in the back, and it's the type of thing where I don't even really know where I'm parking, and it's not really clear where the entrances are. It's a lot of walls, and then there would just be like one door that doesn't actually look like a door. I don't know if you know what I mean. Have you ever found a building where the only door doesn't actually look like it's inviting? Like there's nothing about the door that is saying, "Hey, this is the entrance." Ooh, look at all the reflections. "This is the entrance right here. This is how you get inside the building." It looks more like a back alley service door, or that it might be locked, or it might be like an external entrance to a bathroom. I don't really know if you know what I'm describing. So, first of all, I'm even trying to find the entrance to this place, and I finally find what looks like the entry door. So I open the door, and the venue, there's like a bar, and then there's some seating. There's like a pretty nice bar, sort of restaurant-style seating right over to the left. There's a guy... there's a lectern right there, which kind of looks like, like you would be checking in for like a restaurant, but there's nobody really standing there, and there's kind of people meandering, and some people are dressed really nice. So there were a bunch of people, but it didn't really seem like a very clear indication as to what the heck was going on here. It kind of looked like a bar, kind of looked like a restaurant, kind of looked like a venue, kind of looked like a hookah lounge, kind of looked like a nightclub, kind of looked like a dance club. And so it was just very confusing. And so I walk in, and again, there's a bunch of people milling around. Some people are dressed to the nines. There was several women dressed in these like knockout, like red carpet dresses, and like nightclub dresses. And then there were other people dressed totally casually, and then there were some people dressed in like suits with like the flat brimmed hats, and they just looked really dope. Dope. That's I wish I was cooler. I don't know a cooler word to use. I don't know a doper word to use than dope. So, and then there's kind of like a couple of people just hanging around in t-shirts and jeans. And so I'm going, I don't know what the heck is going on. And this does not look like any stand-up comedy open mic that I have ever experienced. It just seems like something else is going on. Oh, and right when I walk in, there was somebody setting up like photography lighting, like those soft boxes, or those light boxes. So I'm like, why are they setting up photography? It just seems really confusing. And so somebody sees me and it was very friendly. like I got a very friendly vibe. Nobody seemed standoffish, but but there didn't really seem to be anybody in charge or anybody who was like organizing all of this chaos. And so I talked to one person and I just said, yeah, is there an open mic here? And he goes, oh yeah, you need to talk to JJ over there. And he kind of points in a nebulous direction and I don't really know who he's pointing to. So then I start kind of pointing to who I think this JJ was. And I start walking towards the wrong person. So then the guy follows after me. Oh, no, that's not JJ. This is JJ. So he introduces me to this guy who was dressed in like a silver sequence suit, again with a hat, with a matching hat and matching shoes. It was like a white suit with silver sequence, a silver sequence hat, and like silver sequence shoes. And okay, so this is JJ, and I just said, hey, is there an open mic? And he goes, oh, well, yeah, but it's like a showcase, and so we're going to have some musicians and comics, and then it's just going to be an open free-for-all. Going, oh, okay, so there's a comedy portion and a music portion. I'm like, so are those already booked spots? And he goes, yeah, so those were already booked, but then at like 8 p.m., it's a free-for-all. So I'm going, oh, okay, so what time does the show start? He goes, well, the comics are going to be from 6 to 7, and the music is going to be from 7 to 8, and then the open mic is going to start at 8 p.m. But I looked at my clock on my phone, and it was 6:45. So going, there's no comedy going on right now, and you're saying the comedy starts at 6. It's 6:45 p.m. So obviously, what you said is supposed to happen has already not happened. So I'm just trying to figure this thing out. And what was frustrating is my buddy said that this is where I should meet him, and he's not there. So I'm kind of left to fend for myself. And I'm going, I don't know what's going on. I see a DJ who had like a DJ, and a sound system set up. And then there was like a horseshoe table set up around this DJ, which kind of looked like a stage, but it was on like one corner of the venue. And again, then you have the bar over here, you have the restaurant over here. And then come to find out there's another kind of back area that has more tables. So I'm like, I don't know what the heck's going on. And again, so many people milling around and so many different types of people dressed up, people dressed down, people dressed like they're going to church, people dressed like they're going to nightclub, and then people dressed like they're going to the store Saturday morning. So, yeah. And then when I talk to the guy in charge, he's already saying things that don't make sense because there's no way that the comedy started at 6 p.m. because it's already 6:45 p.m. So obviously the comedy did not start. So anyway, I go outside because it's a little chaotic and I'm a little uncomfortable. I just feel a little out of place. I don't really know where to go or where to sit or where to be, and I'm all alone. So I go outside. I wait for my buddy to show up, and then we go back inside, and it turns out that my buddy Andrew has some sort of connection to the booker, who is the JJ fellow with the sequin hat. I loved his suit, by the way. It was bad. So somehow through that connection, me and my two buddies, the two comics who I was there with, my buddy Andrew and then his buddy Eric, who I just met, we get on the booked portion, which was supposed to start at 6, which is now starting at about 8:30. So anyway, things kind of start to like settle down, and this JJ guy like starts to show, and he does like this big long like kind of monologue about the venue and how they've been up and running for 10 weeks and how they're there to support independent artists, and how he's got a lineup of comics and a lineup of singer-songwriters. But before we do all of that, he wants to do like a little dance party. So the DJ starts playing some hip-hop music, and then a bunch of people get up within that little horseshoe table thing and start dancing. I'm just going, what in the heck is this venue? And So then after the dancing, he has all of the performers line up. Oh, I should say that because of the connection of my buddy, we got on a sign-up list. Like, he had us sign up. So I'm going, okay, well, we've signed up for something. I don't know what. And I don't know what's going on, but at least my name is down on a list. So we all, so then he says, hey, we're going to do a red carpet. So I want all of you to line up here and then follow this other gentleman outside, come around the venue and come back into the entrance that I eventually found. And they had rolled out a red carpet in the entrance. And then they had that photographer who had set up all of the soft boxes. So next thing I know, I'm lining up in a line. I'm walking outside of this venue again and walking in with this photographer taking a bunch of pictures of me. So I'm just doing a bunch of poses. And I'm dressed like this. I'm dressed in a blue T-shirt and jeans. I am not, I'm not fancy. So, again, that was just kind of weird. And then this JJ guy just sort of haphazardly starts the show and just goes, okay, we're going to start now. Why don't we start with the comic, Haley? And he just points to this woman who was dressed in this knockout gold, gold dress. This, looked like she could have been on a red carpet. So it turns out she's a comic. So she gets up and does some stand-up. And then she finishes her set and she starts going, all right, that's my time. All right, hey, JJ. And this JJ guy, everybody's looking for him. Like, he just disappears. And we finally see him over at the bar, and this comedian is, yelling for him to come, host the event and come take the mic back and talk and bring up whoever's next. And he just doesn't come up. So then this Haley comics, Haley's Comet, this comic, she goes, okay, well, who wants to go next? And then she points out to some comic who she knows, but evidently I was next on the list. And so my buddy is like, no, Paul's next. And she doesn't know who I am. She goes, oh, okay. Our next comic, he's a bald guy. Please welcome Paul. And so I go up, the DJ plays some hip-hop song or whatever, and there's just this little horseshoe of people that are even half paying attention. And there's chaos going on. There's like a bar. There's people talking. There's people in that back room talking. There's people over here talking. There's just, again, this horseshoe of maybe 10 or 12 people, all dressed very differently. Again, some dress really fancy. There was a woman over here dressed like in a Flappers dance outfit. There was a guy with a guitar. There was this big burly black guy who was in a jumpsuit with glasses. I caught somewhere that he was a rapper. Oh, I get up there and I'm just trying to do material and trying to connect with this very weird, chaotic, scattered audience. And it went okay. I was a little nervous. I was a little off my game. I was probably a little too uncomfortable, and I think the audience probably picked up on that. And there was nobody monitoring. There was nobody setting a timer. There was nobody lighting. So I just did a bunch of riffing. I did some material. And then because there was a DJ just to end my set, I was like, and I'm going to end my set with a free flow rap. DJ, spin a beat. And the DJ's like, what? He's doing a rap. And so he just started playing some beats. And I just started free flow rapping about some of the people sitting there in the horseshoe. I don't know why I did that. I just, it's what I wanted to do. So anyway, so I just end, and then I think by then JJ had sort of re-engaged with hosting, and so I think I was able to give him the mic, and then he brought on the next act, and then I got the heck out of there. So the next thing then I went to do is a good friend of mine from Phoenix, actually. Her name is Mary. She had a show, and I had reached out to her just to ask what was going on with her, and she told me about the show. So I drove immediately to support her at her show. She did a fantastic job, and afterwards she booked me on a gig that she is headlining in San Diego. So that was really cool. I didn't show up to get booked. I just showed up to be supportive. And yet she was gracious enough to extend me a comedy spot, which I got to tell you, that just seems to be how it goes a lot of times in this biz. You just show up and you support each other. And when people see that you're showing up, they want to book you and they want to put you on shows and they want to work with you. And, you know, it helps if you're funny and professional. So I'm actually really excited about that show that I booked. So that'll be May 10th at Mic Drop Mania in San Diego. And ironically enough, on May 11th, I will be at Mic Drop Mania in Chandler, Arizona. And those are two franchises. It's the Mic Drop franchise. So I will be at the San Diego Mic Drop on Friday night and the Chandler Mic Drop on Saturday afternoon, performing with my buddy Josh Nassar. So got two really fun gigs lined up there. So then, after hanging out at Mary's gig, Andrew texted me and said that they were at another open mic. And so I left the gig with Mary and drove, it wasn't very far away, about 10 minutes. This is all in Vegas, obviously. Drove to this bar where they were having an open mic and met up again with my buddy Andrew. So they were at the first open mic. I split and went to Mary's thing. They went to a second open mic while I was at the show. And now we are at the third open mic of the night. We have reconvened. So that mic was very, very interesting. It was very rowdy, but also very good. There were a good handful of people there who seemed engaged and were interested to be there. What was interesting, though, and very different, is the host of the open mic was giving everybody 10 minutes, which is actually an absurd long amount of time for an open mic. I don't know any open mics in the history of open mics that give every performer 10 minutes of time. At most, you get 5 minutes, and there are open mics who will give you as little as 1 minute, like the Kill Tony show. You get 1 minute. Laugh Factory, you get 2 minutes. Hollywood Improv, you get 3 minutes. Comedy Store, 3 minutes. So it was really interesting to see that the performers were getting 10 minutes, and it was a mixed open mic, so it wasn't all stand-up comedians. I only saw stand-up comedians, but then there were a couple of poets who were maybe comedic in their poetry somewhat, but were also poetic in their poetry. So I go in, I put my name on, I see I'm 15th on the list, and it is about 10 o'clock, and there are about 4 performers in. So I've got to wait for 11 performers, and I'm doing the math there, and I'm going, well, if they're giving everybody 10 minutes, that's 10 minutes times 11 performers I need to wait for. That's 110 minutes. That's almost 2 hours. Hey. So it is about 10 o'clock when I get there, and I'm going, I do not have it in me to sit in here. Especially it's a bar, and in Vegas, you can smoke in the bars. So it's smoky in there. It's pretty loud. It's pretty rowdy. I'm very introverted. I'm already my nervous system is already pretty shocked from that first open mic and all the chaos there. And then I went to go see my friend Mary's show. So right next door was a Wingstop. I hadn't eaten yet, so I just hop into that Wingstop and get some food, and I just hang out there for about an hour. And then when I go back to the open mic, they're on like the 10th comic. So I still have 4 comics, which is 40 minutes before it's my turn. And oh my gosh. So I don't even really know how to explain what happened. So the 3 comics before me, to some degree or other, again, they all did 10 minutes, all went up there and expressed extreme hatred. The first comic, a lot of hatred for teachers, which was interesting. The second comic was black and was a poet and did a whole poem about how much he hates the police. Or actually, I think they are non-binary, if I remember right. So they did a whole, like, literally F the police poem, and it was very much white male police officers. And it was pretty, like, actually really well done. They were a very talented poet. I mean, the prose were real impressive, real artistic, but also very, very pointed and very barbed and very hate-filled towards white policemen. And then they did a few more poems. And then the comic right before me was a black female comic who also just went off on white people and colonization. And she is murdering this room. And after those three performers were so present, it didn't feel like they were doing jokes or material at all. I think they were, but I think they were so good at their craft, especially the two comics, which bookended the poet in the middle, that I couldn't really tell if they were doing material or if they were doing just straight riffing for their whole sets. And again, these are 10-minute sets. And they were murdering this room. All three of them were. But the two comics specifically, because they were doing comedy. Again, the person in the middle was doing more poetry, but like the poetry that they did also brought tremendous high energy and tremendous high response. And then this black female comic gets up there and is so raw and gritty and so funny. And it's just everything she is saying is just slaying this loud, ruckus bar mic. And then it was my turn. The straight white guy from Phoenix. And so I get up on I get up there and I'm just going, there is no way in hell I am going to be able to entertain this audience following the absolute murderous onslaught that these performers before me have brought on. I mean, they brought the laughs to like peak, high, nonstop, belly laughing, ruckus level of comedic energy. I mean, just unparalleled. And these are performers at midnight on a Monday night in Las Vegas. And I mean, it just blew my mind. And then I have to go up and follow those three performers. And I went up there and I had so much fun. I just leaned in to the fact that every performer before me had pretty much spent their entire sets talking about how they hate me. I think my first joke was something out of the lines of, "Hey everybody, I might remind you of the police officer in the previous performer's poem." And the comic before that, I think I look like the teachers that he hates. And then I don't remember what I said about the black female comic. She had mentioned colonization, so I said something like, and I am probably the ancestors of some of those colonizers or something like that. And all I did was I just brought the same amount of energy, and I couldn't let it drop. I couldn't go to material. And I kept calling that out within my set of just going, how can I go to material now? How can I do jokes? Well, airports are weird. And anyway, I just went after the race card because everybody had played the race card, which is something I don't normally do. And I just riffed about my white privilege, and I riffed about, being so hated by everybody. And I mean, it was actually a ton of fun. And so I'm doing this, and I'm performing also in front of my two friends, Andrew and Eric. And, after my set, we go outside in the parking lot, and they're very complimentary and just going, wow, I've never seen anything like that, and blah, 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 blah. And you crushed it. And so then I was talking to my buddy, Andrew, because I have tremendous respect for him. He is a unbelievably brilliant stand-up comedian and has done late night shows, and he's done a TED Talk. He's got 4 comedy albums. He's incredibly prolific, incredibly funny, a brilliant writer, and has sort of taken me under his wing. I mean, he's the whole reason I'm in Vegas. And I was talking to him, and I just went, Andrew, I have never been as funny as a stand-up comedian than when I am riffing. When I am riffing, I can bring the house down. I have never come close to being that funny when I write material and I do jokes. And I just said, can I hire you to help me bridge that gap? Can you help me figure out how I can write with the same intensity and the same and the same rhythm and the same edginess that I'm able to tap into when I'm off the cuff and I'm riffing? And he got really excited and just said, absolutely, I know exactly what we need to do. So I will be hiring my good buddy Andrew, who can hopefully coach me through this little slump that I've been in, where I've been trying to write. It just hasn't been going well, and I feel like I'm on the precipice of something new anyway. And I have a tremendous amount of confidence in my buddy Andrew that he will be able to help me make that transition, because he knows me very well. He knows my comedy very well. He's seen me do very, very well. He's seen me do not so well. He knows a lot of my material, a lot of my jokes. He also sees me riff. He knows my energy. And so I am hopeful that perhaps with his guidance, with his tutelage, I might be able to make a bit of a breakthrough here as a performer and as a comedian, and that I can finally find a way to appear as spontaneous and as authentic when I'm doing my written material, when I'm doing my script in front of an audience, as I am when I'm off the cuff and riffing. So we will see how that goes. All right, everybody. Well, that is the update. You see, I made up for my short episode yesterday by going long today. You're welcome. It all balances out. So that is where I'm at. It's just this never-ending improvement, never-ending journey of growing and expanding as an artist and as a performer, and never being satisfied with a performance, always looking for ways to improve, and doing so from a state of, it's weird, it's because I said it's about never being satisfied, but it's never being satisfied from an emotional state of contentment. Isn't everything a contradiction? Being happy and accepting where you are, while also always striving to improve and to grow and to find opportunities to hone the craft and to become a more dynamic performer. And I think that's the case with whatever your dream is. It's never a destination. It's always the journey that is, it's finding joy in that journey and realizing that there actually is no destination. There is never a cool, I am now done. I mean, unless you want to be done. So that is the update for today. I hope that all of you are doing well. Your dreams are going well. You are finding those opportunities to hone your crafts, to grow and expand with whatever it is that life is throwing your way. And hopefully I am able to provide some insight as I share my own journey on this path. So I love you all so much. Thank you for tuning into the Paul Green Comedy Podcast. This is April 2nd, 2024, episode 125. I love you all so much. I will talk to you tomorrow.